All right, so we're diving deep today into something pretty crucial in education. This
Mm-hmm.
is the whole idea of making education, like, truly responsive,
Right.
you know,
Right.
like really meeting the needs of each student.
Yeah. Yeah. Individualize.
Exactly. And you've sent me some super interesting research all about
Oh,
this.
yeah. There's some really cool stuff out there.
Yeah, like personalized learning,
Yeah.
text role, even how to, like, empower students to kind of...
Yeah. To have more of a say in their own education.
Exactly, which, honestly, when I think back to my own school days, that would have been game-changing.
I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Yeah.
Feeling like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Shouldn't I have some input here?
Yeah, for sure. So maybe we start with the why. Like, why is this responsiveness thing even so important right now?
Well, I mean, think about it. The world's changing crazy fast. Like technology, for instance.
Oh, tell me about it.
I mean, what was like cutting edge a few years ago is like ancient history now.
Totally. So education needs to, like, catch up to that pace, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not enough anymore to just have like a one-size-fits-all approach because, students are diverse.
Oh, absolutely.
They've got their own strengths, their own challenges, different backgrounds, different learning styles. Education's got to reflect that.
Okay, so that's where responsiveness comes in. But how do we actually, like, make it happen in classrooms? Not just, like, a nice idea, you know?
Right. It has to be practical. And one of the, I think, most promising strategies we're seeing is this thing called personalized learning.
Okay, personalized learning. Break that down for me.
So basically, it's all about tailoring the education to each student's needs and their pace. So they're not just stuck in like a rigid system that isn't working for them.
That sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, I'm always a bit wary of these, like, buzzwords in education. They sound great, but then...
Yeah, sometimes they don't actually deliver.
Right. So what does the research actually say? Like, does this personalized learning stuff actually work?
Well, there's a growing body of evidence that it can really make a difference. There was this study by the Rand Corporation, for example. They found that personalized learning, when done right, actually led to significant improvements in like math scores, especially for students who were struggling.
Oh, wow. So, like, tangible results.
Yeah, we're talking like a 15% increase in some cases, which is huge.
That is huge. But I imagine, like, putting that into practice across the board,
Oh yeah, it's not a simple fix.
it's gotta be complicated.
It requires a big shift, really, in how we think about teaching and learning. It's not just like, okay, here's a different worksheet for you. It's about rethinking curriculum design, teacher training, how we assess student progress. Like some schools are even moving towards this thing called competency-based learning, where students progress through the material at their own pace, and they really master a concept before moving on.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about, like, speed. It's about really getting it.
Exactly. It's about depth of understanding, not just rushing through to the next thing.
Makes sense. And I'm guessing technology probably plays a role in all of this, right?
Absolutely. Tech can be a huge help. I mean, it can create these really flexible learning environments that can adapt to individual needs.
Okay, give me an example.
So picture this. You've got a student who's like really struggling with algebra, right?
Yeah.
They can use a platform that gives them extra support and practice, but it's tailored to their specific sticking points.
Oh, cool.
At the same time, you might have another student in the same class who's like excelling in math. They can move ahead at their own pace, maybe dive into some more challenging material. Everyone's getting what they need.
I love that. It's like everyone's potential is being tapped into.
Yeah.
But how do we make sure that all students have access to this kind of tech? You know, resources aren't equal everywhere.
That's a really important point. Equity has to be front and center. In any conversation about technology and education, we got to make sure that all students have the tools they need to succeed, no matter their background or where they live.
Couldn't agree more. And it strikes me that this all ties into another big piece of the puzzle, which is cultural competency.
Oh, for sure. That's huge.
Like, it's not just about having the right tech or learning strategies, right? It's also about creating an environment where every student feels seen, heard, respected.
Absolutely. Teachers have got to understand and respect the diverse backgrounds their students bring into the classroom. It affects everything, how they communicate, their learning preferences, even how their families define success.
Which brings me to this. How do we give students more of a voice
Yeah.
in shaping their own education? I mean, that seems crucial too.
It is. It's about empowering them.
Right.
Moving away from that old model where students are just like passive recipients of knowledge.
Yeah, just sit there and absorb.
Right. And instead, we want them to be active participants in their learning, advocating for what they need, pursuing their own interests.
I love that. So pulling this all together, it seems like we're talking about a pretty big shift in how we approach education.
It's a shift, yeah. But I think it's a necessary one. If we really want education to prepare students for the future, it needs to be as adaptable and dynamic as the world itself.
That's a powerful way to put it.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our deep dive here, what's the one key takeaway you'd want to leave our listeners with?
I guess it would be this. The challenge and the incredible opportunity is to create education systems that are responsive to student needs, but also truly empowering for every learner, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I think that's where the real magic happens.
Absolutely. All right, well, thank you so much for taking us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
This is some really important stuff to think about, and we'll be sure to link to all the research in the show notes for anyone who wants to dive in deeper.
Yes, definitely check those out. There's so much exciting work being done in this area.
Until next time.
See you then.